value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
Oh, you know it. We are back. We are back. We are live right here on the Value Wrestling with your Smackdown review for November 24th, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here on your Black Friday with our own Black Friday special. You get to see us for absolutely hitting that subscription button, hitting that like button, and welcoming us into your home. We thank you for taking out some time on your day, whether it's Friday, the day of, or it's somewhere down the road. We thank you and appreciate you for taking time out of your day to check out what we have to say about what happened on SmackDown. But let's jump into it. We're going to get in the introductions. First, the man sitting across from me, the one, the only. Oh, you know. And of course, sitting in the chat, the one, the only, our New Japan Pro Wrestling expert, the master of New Japan, the know-it-all, the gobbledygooker of the season, which is finally going to be retired after tonight, the one, the only, Miguel Z. Feel special. Because you know me, I'm the B-to-I, the G-T-Y-M-E, I'm the big time, and I'm here to get you through another night of wrestling. At least tonight was a little more easier to swallow than Wednesday night. And so we are getting excited about tomorrow night. And no, we're not talking about Rampage and Collision because I don't think there's anything to get excited about there. Even though we did hear that Shibata is going to defeat this pure Ring of Honor champion on Rampage against Wheeler Yuta. We know Claudio Castagnoli is taking on Daniel Garcia in the Continental Classic, the Blue League matchup, and Brody King and Eddie Kingston are tying up. Andrade and Bryan Danielson are not on the card this week, so we'll have to figure out how that all works out. Because there's not there's not a whole lot of time before World's End for all 5 men or all 6 men on both leagues. To basically the whole thing is they all got to face each other at least once to see who gets the most points. So we'll see how that goes. But we're here for your SmackDown review. We're here to talk about SmackDown, and we're going to get into it. And SmackDown, of course, coming from Chicago, emanating from Chicago, where we know, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is true. It is true. If you haven't been catching up on the shorts, if you haven't been kept up on the updates, we know that CM Punk is in the Chicago area. We know that he has been out walking his dog. We know he got a good night's sleep. We know April Brooks has come out and confirmed he is in Chicago. Could he show up tonight on SmackDown? Will he show up tomorrow? We don't know, but we know he's in Chicago. Chicago born. In Chicago's own, Chicago made CM Punk. Yes, he is there. He is there. Anyways, we get a review of everything building up to War Games at this point. We get a recap of Damage Control versus the Bianca Belair, Shotzi, Charlotte Flair, and introducing Becky Lynch at the end of last week's show. And so we open the show with Becky Lynch coming down with the other 3 baby faces, Shotzi, Bianca Belair, and Charlotte Flair. Woo! Anyways, Corey Graves is back on commentary, so everybody can be happy that he is back. We get comments from all the members on the babyface team here. No anything that kind of sounded out of place with Shotzi, kind of just went off on her own little thing, and kind of everybody else kind of like, okay, I guess they're trying to build a character, but I don't know if I can take her seriously. Hopefully they give her a little more to it. Eventually, Damage Control, well, not even Damage Control, Bayley came out and created a fuss with everybody. And so we're going to have 2 members of Damage Control versus Becky and Charlotte in our main event for the evening. And so we'll have to see that. And then we know on the 0 hour, tomorrow on 0 hour, yes, saw a report from last night's dog walk. Yes, very much so. Anyways, talking about CM Punk there. But, we know that Bayley, it looks like Bayley, and I forget who's coming out from the babyface.
On the pre-show.
Yeah, on the 0.
Thing.
Yeah, sorry. On the pre-show, on the, I don't know, what does WWE call theirs, the pre-show? Thought it had a name. Anyways.
Kickoff sometimes.
Yeah, kickoff. The Survivor Series kickoff show will air a match between Bayley and I forget who the other opponent will be. And whoever wins that match will get the advantage into going into War Games for their team. So we are all excited about that. Post breakdown damage control without Bayley, and Bayley shows up and asks who wants to wrestle Becky and Charlotte. She asks who wants to take on the main event. Io suggests Bayley team up with Asuka, so we're gonna get Bayley and Asuka versus Charlotte and Becky Lynch. And this is how we opened the show. It was an okay segment. They're trying to continue to build this feud for a match that I really don't think is really. I don't know. I'm not into it. I mean, I'm going to love seeing Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane wrestle. But the rest of it is just kind of, nah. I'm not. They haven't done enough to me to really get me invested to be excited for any of this. It almost seems almost too obvious what's going to happen here, and that's fine. I see the direction they're going. We're going to get some changes coming into the future. I'm thinking Bayley's going to lose on the pre-show, costing her team the chance to have the advantage, and I still think Bayley will probably take the pin in the cage at War Games in the end of this, and this will set up Bayley losing damage control or however this interesting story is going to play out, but this scenario, I don't know. I guess because nobody in the babyface side do I really care about. Shotzi is still something they're developing. They've switched up her character. I mean, at least there's story there why she wants to fight damage control. And, they shaved her head and everything. But she's still trying to develop her character, so it's really hard to get invested in her. I do not give a damn about Bianca Belair anymore. I'm ready for her to turn heel. I need something new from her. I don't know why they didn't have her join Bobby Lashley's new group and join, the Street Profits. You had some storyline there that would have made sense. It would have been anything better than the crap of this super rah-rah cheerleading babyface. We're the bestest, we're the greatest, we're the wonderfulest, we're the blah, I want to puke all overist. This crap. Charlotte playing babyface, sort of, kind of in this weird position. Fine, I guess. Whatever. Charlotte, and I guess when you get overexposed somewhat, you're just kind of, nah. She's getting better on the mic. She's getting better in some of her stuff, at least. She's not so Vince McMahon Charlotte, where now I feel like she's back to kind of being Triple H's Charlotte. She's a little more digestible. And then, of course, Becky's great, and you love Becky, but the whole storyline they sold all freaking night between Becky and Charlotte, and bringing up all their past and can they get along and this crap. It's just like, do we have to do this every year with some weird storyline like Becky and Charlotte? It'll be a decent match. This will not be a classic match. This will not be. I mean, maybe they'll pull out a 5-star match. I mean, you do have Io Sky and Kairi Sane in there, so some amazing things could get pulled off with the insanity they bring to the ring. So, I mean, there could be good pop moments, but I don't think this is going to be a 5-star or classic match. It'll be a match that gets the job done, tells the story, but I'm not necessarily like, ooh, I'm, watching Survivor Series for this. Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on this opening segment for tonight?
Really, like you were saying, the biggest story out of this is Becky and Charlotte, when it really should be, against damage control. The thing is, I feel like tonight was a misdirect. Like, this almost just about guarantees that the faces might be going over tomorrow.
Yeah.
They sold so hard about Becky and Charlotte. Like, do we even care at this point? If they're going to fight, let them fight. But they're not doing it tomorrow. At least not until after the match, hopefully.
Well, I'm assuming Shotzi said at one point to Charlotte, hey, remember when you talked to me and gave me good words, maybe you need to go give good words to Becky. So I'm assuming somewhere tomorrow we're going to get some video package of Charlotte talking to Becky and them possibly making peace before this match goes off, especially with the way this show ended. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
They could, but it's not necessary.
They put it out there, so I think it's kind of necessary to finish this story loop to fix that weird hole. Because why did they made a big, like, they took time out of this show to actually garner some sympathy for Charlotte here, where Shotzi's going, you remember when I got my head shaved and I was at my lowest and you gave me these words of wisdom, and then Charlotte's like, oh, don't make me cry, and you're kind of like, okay, they're trying to give you a little empathy for Charlotte, trying to make Charlotte look like a baby face. And, Shotzi's like, basically, well, maybe we need to go say something to Becky and make peace. And so now it is on Charlotte's, and after the end of the night, it really, I'm assuming tomorrow, Charlotte and Becky are going to have some powwow come to Jesus moment where they're going to finally find their peace and go out there, which I think leads to them winning. And I think this is the story we're going to get with, as long as Becky and Charlotte can get on the same page, I think the baby faces can win.
Yeah.
So from there, we started off with the tag team title match. The Judgment Day, Damian Priest and Finn Balor with Rhea Ripley defending their tag team titles against the Street Profits. Here we had a heel versus heel team dynamic going on, which is fine. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins coming out here. They were a little more over with the crowd tonight. A good solid match. We saw Bobby Lashley watching on TV with BFAB hanging around him. What the future means for BFAP, I don't know. We're still waiting to see how this is all going to play in. There hasn't been a lot of change in character joining this group, which would be interesting to see. But anyways, we got a good tag team match between these four. It's what you expect out of Judgment Day. It's what you expect out of the Street Profits. Eventually, Balor hits coup de grace on Montez Ford for the 1-2-3. This match was 9 minutes, 29 seconds. But Judgment Day still your tag team champions. Again, this was a good match. It did what it needed to. Of course, after the match, we saw Bobby Lashley was not happy at all. He looked pissed. So I don't know where this continues the storyline with the Street Profits. I don't necessarily agree with a clean pin. They did get clean pinned in this match, especially since you're trying to repackage and build them up as these dominant heels. I know you're doing heel team versus heel team, but it was kind of an interesting dynamic for the tag team titles. I would assume at the beginning of the show there might have been a possibility for the Street Profits to win these titles and take them off of Judgment Day so you can free up the Judgment Day story, whatever is going to happen with Damian Priest going forward. But no, for now, they're still the tag team champions. So the tag team champions will be going into War Games tomorrow night on Survivor Series. But overall, it was a good match. Nothing special about it. You got four guys who are really good at what they do. They're good at telling the story. They're good in the ring, and you're satisfied. Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on Street Profits versus Judgment Day?
One of the things about we've been talking about recently, as far as the Judgment Day, there was kind of that notice that they're not really showing the Money in the Bank briefcase. They're kind of allowing the War Games to be the main story. They didn't show it tonight.
No, the second night.
We were like at a previous show, we were talking about we weren't really sure. Now I purposely paid attention.
Yeah.
Just the tag titles only. But they're really just wanting War Games to be the main focus.
Yeah.
They want to take away that talk about anything to do with Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, I think they figured that out. They needed to get Money in the Bank out of there just so people would quit saying, oh, maybe he's going to cash in the ring. They just don't want to create that scenario. But yes, Miguel, the crowd still treats the Profits as a babyface team. I think tonight they were the babyfaces of this match. They were made to feel and look like the babyfaces, and so they did get some babyface chants. That's the only thing I think WWE is kind of screwing up here. The Street Profits are supposed to be heel, but the way they get booked sometimes, they still feel like baby faces.
Can they not be the cool heels?
But it's not coming across as a cool heel team. It's just coming.
That's fair.
It's not feeling like that. It's not feeling like Swerve right now is the cool heel. But the Street Profits are feeling just like they're getting babyface here, not the heel. They're not getting that Steve Austin-esque cheer for the babyface, not the NWO-esque cheers. It's just kind of, they got over it, and especially the way they were booked. They were going up against another heel team, so yeah, they came out more as the babyfaces in this match, which I don't think helps them in their direction. Bobby Lashley's pissed, so I guess we're going to have to figure out why he's mad and how that goes going forward.
Well, we know why he's mad.
Well, yeah, we know why he's mad. They lost, but I mean, it's kind of like, are we going to do this every time they lose? I mean, hopefully this leads to a dynamic shift that's like the final shift to give us the Street Profits we need going forward, because I thought we started getting the suits and then we're there and then we have this match and it feels like they regress. Kind of the way they came out, the way they felt tonight, it felt like a regression back to their prior selves instead of this new direction we're going to get. So hopefully Bobby Lashley gets pissed and beats these boys senseless and they come out as this new dominant. I'm ready for them to be this new dominant heel tag team that we desperately need from the Street Profits. Babyface Street Profits is done. There's nothing left there to bite on that fruit.
We know Bobby Lashley was pissed. Montez was pissed. He was practically trance-like as he was like just thinking about his defeat.
Yeah.
See it. And I mean, he really sold that. So that's why I'm thinking possibly this could be also the catalyst of the Street Profits eventually breaking up if they keep taking loss after loss.
I hope not, because we need tag teams in WWE. Montez Ford's not ready to be on his own yet. I don't think there's a place for him yet. I mean, I think he'll be a great single star in his day, but it is not the time to break up this team. That would be such a Vince McMahon thing to step out and break this team up right now. And that would probably lead to Montez Ford becoming a single star, and Angelo Dawkins would become the Marty Jannetty of the Street Profits.
At least a better version if he does.
I
used to feel for Angelo Dawkins. I used to fear for him. But because he stepped up his game, now I don't see him as a main eventer, but I think he could be a solid mid-carder.
I think he gets lost in the shuffle. He's going to be an Otis who gets repackaged and teamed up with somebody else, or he's going to be a Tucker that eventually gets released because he doesn't have whatever that next step is. He's upped his game, yes, but I mean the Street Profits together. Angelo Dawkins by himself, I don't feel it. Montez Ford has been the main. I mean, he's the Shawn Michaels of that team. I mean, Montez Ford could be a modern era Shawn Michaels coming out of the Street Profits. I just don't think it's the right time to pull that trigger now, because you have a lot of other things that are going on, and when that time is right, it'll be the right time to pull that trigger and run Montez. So we will have to see. Anyways, from there, we got the ladies in the locker room. Charlotte and Becky are, of course, fighting back and forth. Biel tries to play peacekeeper and walks off. Becky walks off wanting to fight. And then Bayley walks up and told you that this would happen. And so Bayley stirring the drama. From there, we get a Dragon Lee hype promo video. Gotta love Dragon Lee. After this, we get a Grayson Waller effect. Grayson Waller's guest tonight is going to be Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' music hits, and out walks Kevin. No, it was Austin Theory cosplaying as one Kevin Owens. And so Theory comes down to the ring, and they start to chant when finally the music hits, and the real Kevin Owens comes out. And they're like, wait, you're suspended. Kevin Owens says, no, my suspension's up tonight, and that's why I thought you were going to have me on the show. They have a little back and forth, some good jokes there. And then Theory and Grayson Waller start mentioning LA Knight. And Owens is like, you don't say names. And they're like LA Knight. And that brought out, the third time, the old Beetlejuice statement. You say somebody's name 3 times and they show up. And that's what we got. LA Knight came down. And so now we set up a match between Kevin Owens and LA Knight, Kevin Owens versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, A-Town Down Under. So we get from that, and then we come back to a recap of Solo Sikoa taking out John Cena, the Paul Heyman promo, what led to LA Knight's downfall, the beating of Jimmy Uso, and then Cody Rhodes showing up to kick butt in a suit. Anyways, we have a tag team match. A-Town Down Under, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory versus LA Knight and Kevin Owens. Good, solid match between these guys. It's what you'd expect. The pop of the night, LA Knight's got his pop. LA Knight's got his fan base. We just have to see how they play LA Knight from here. I think he needs to be either facing a Logan Paul at WrestleMania for the U.S. title, or he needs to be getting into the Intercontinental title picture, depending on who's going to be holding that title come that time period. Eventually, Knight hits a blunt force trauma to BFT on Theory and gets the 1, 2, 3. This match went 12 minutes, 26 seconds. Another mid-card match. It's what you expect between all these guys. Nothing necessarily to write home about, nothing to jump up and down and say was great. It was exciting. It was just a match. I thought they were trying to build this match for Survivor Series. Maybe they'd give us this match tomorrow night just to give us another match in there. But we got it tonight. LA Knight, Kevin Owens going over. There's not much you can say here. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are definitely 2 guys that are going to be the future. Right now, they're just kind of paying their dues and buying their times. They're not buried. I know they are losing a lot in the way they go down, but I wouldn't say they're buried. It's just they're paying their dues right now. But they are two guys that are definitely going to be big names going into the future. These could be your Randy Orton, Edge guys going into the future. They could definitely fill those type of shoes. I'm not saying they're perfectly aligned, but to think of two guys that were strong heels that could play baby faces at different times, that could be friends, that could be enemies. I definitely think you see a long time storyline between Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. I think you're going to have these guys being friends, then feuding against one another. But I see a lot of it just feels like this is kind of a newer era rated RKO. And so I can see that dynamic. It's just going to take a little more time, and it's not their time. As much as it's like a Montez Ford is definitely one of the big stars of the future, it's not that time to pull the trigger on these guys just yet. Your thoughts on Kevin Owens, LA Knight versus A-Town Down Under, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, Mr. Clarke?
Their name may be A-Town Down Under, but I'm calling them Team Young Boys because, just like you just explained, they are the future, but their time is not yet. So they're paying their dues and they're working their way into getting known, into being built as characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got all the tools wrestling wise and ring wise. They're fine.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, finding that right time when it's time to push them. And right now, it's just not that time yet.
Yep. And so now we're backstage again. Belair's caught up with Becky. She's trying to calm Becky down. Trying to get her and Charlotte to get her wrong for the sake of War Games. Becky wonder why everyone keeps asking her not to be the hothead, but she's cool. She's cool. Oh, she's so cool. But she's not Caribbean cool because that
right.
person is Carlito. And we got Carlito coming down to the ring. And after commercial break, Carlito's in the ring talking about Santos Escobar. And then Santos Escobar comes down to the ring in his nice shirt, looking the part that he once was. And so we get this. Eventually, it breaks down into a little fight there. Security and Kenny Dykstra was down there, and I think Jamie Noble was out there trying to break it up. And then Escobar disappeared. Disappeared and somehow got back in the crowd. And why Security and Dykstra and Noble were trying to control Carlito, Escobar came up from the behind the crowd, jumped on the barrier, and launched himself at Carlito and beat him down. They eventually broke it up again. Then we get a post-break match. We're in the back. Escobar and Carlito got hands on each other again. Escobar takes down Carlito. It looks like Carlito may have been injured, and out of nowhere, here comes Dragon Lee. And on some type of ramp in the back, because there was a slight ramp from the Guerrillas' position to where they were fighting. There was just this little ramp, so it was really kind of impressive. If you watch this, Dragon Lee in a very narrow space, like they had it was basically a one-person ramp they're walking on. But Dragon Lee came up, hit Escobar in this very small corridor. I mean, because they had crates and all this other stuff on the other side. He was able to hit a Kahuna and Karana on Escobar in this really tight space. So it was quite impressive on a ramp and all that they were able to pull that off. So Dragon Lee getting involved in this Carlito Escobar feud. There's rumors circulating that maybe Carlito is going to be taking an injury from tonight, kayfabe possibly injury, and won't be able to compete tomorrow. And we may wind up getting Dragon Lee versus Escobar on Survivor Series instead of Carlito versus Escobar. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I haven't got full information on if Carlito has some other type of injury that's keeping him from competing, or if this was a match that just didn't get the feedback they wanted. So now at the last minute, they're trying to switch it up with Dragon Lee versus Escobar. So, and could this be Dragon Lee getting involved and fighting Escobar, but Carlito and Escobar are like in cahoots anyways? Because Escobar did point out the fact that Carlito doesn't wear LWO colors. He doesn't represent the LWO, in any form.
He hasn't since he's been back.
But claims he's part of the family. So Escobar made a good point about Carlito. So there's a lot of things going here, but a lot of speculation of why Dragon Lee got involved is possibly Carlito may have a actual injury or may not be actually able to compete tomorrow night. So this may have been a way to take him out. This may be a kayfabe setup to continue a different story. Or this could be Carlito's actually aligned with Escobar, because it was Carlito, if we recall, came out and initiated Escobar's turn So, you know, Ray wasn't trying to call him out, but Carlito came out and pushed the buttons like, oh, it's him. So, even Carlito not wearing LWO, you have to wonder where he lines. And Carlito's one of those guys that's just better as a heel than a babyface. So this could set up to be something. There's a lot of things that could be interesting in this storyline. Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on this Carlito, Escobar, and then Dragon Lee getting involved?
You figured Dragon Lee was going to come in eventually just because they, you know, between NXT and even Raw, like they have, you know, aligned him with Rey Mysterio unofficially. Kind of like, you know, a lot of the respect factor, you know, the conversations away from the ring, that kind of thing. So, like, it doesn't surprise me that Dragon Lee winds up in this story.
Yeah.
Where everyone lands, that's what we're going to see hopefully tomorrow. And go from there.
Yeah.
I'm actually invested, especially with Dragon Lee. We'll see about Carlito and Escobar. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Depends on the story to tell.
I'm just saying Carlito, they make it very much a point that Carlito has never worn LWO colors other than when he was at Backlash. So I'm like, that's got to play into something. Like he's the one who came out and initiated this, but then in the end, he's never wearing the colors. So I can you kind of got their sympathy for Escobar. Like, hey, he's not representing you. I'm out here representing you. We familia. Mm-hmm. He's not out here doing it, you know. So I don't know. And it's the fact that Carlito, if you look at it, Carlito came out and called out Escobar when Ray wasn't even trying to make it a point. So you kind of wonder if we're getting a false, lulled into this false thing of like Carlito being this big baby face that's there for Ray. Anyways, quick breaking news. There is a comment on my last video. I had an update of CM Punk's status. Ladies and gentlemen, CM Punk himself has commented on the video saying, I am there tomorrow. CM Punk is going to be somewhere tomorrow, so he says on the video post. It says @_CM Punk. Don't know if it's the real CM Punk. We'll just put that in pretense. But somebody claiming to be CM Punk swears he's going to be there tomorrow. Where he will be, we don't know. It just says, I'm there tomorrow. Where? Who knows? We'll have to say, wait and see where CM Punk shows up tomorrow. But breaking news, if you go check out the videos that we put up on Shorts, there is a new one up about an update on CM Punk. You can see that comment from _CM Punk. I wonder if Carlito's going to turn heel too. Definitely an option there. Because Escobar is going to need people to help balance out against the LWO. So I don't know if Carlito's going to be the first one to join Escobar in this weird storyline. So we will see. Anyway, this leads us into a rematch. Pretty deadly. Kit Wilson, Elton Prince versus the Brawling Brutes, Ridge Holland and Butch. You can tell from the opening segment when Butch and Ridge Holland came out. Butch came out doing the whole Brawling Brutes opening. Ridge Holland just kind of walked past the whole thing, just walked in the ring. Butch, you could tell Butch was looking at something, or looking at Ridge like something was off, knew something was off. They had a little conversation in the ring, but Butch was like, Ridge Holland was like, no, I got this. Ridge Holland looked really good in this match until there was a misfire bump between him and Ridge and the Pretty Deadly. And this put Ridge outside the ring. And then Butch went over the tag and saw Ridge standing at the guardrail. And then Ridge just walks out on Butch. And then Butch goes on a beating spree. I mean, God, if you want to talk about making Butch look good, and hopefully we get Pete Dunne back, and so we can get away from Pete Dunne, since we're definitely looking like we're spitting up the Brawling Brutes. But even in this loss, which was a roll-up crucifix pin by Wilson, Butch was getting the better of Pretty Deadly. I mean, he was fighting them both off with everything he had. I think he has, what is Butch's finishing maneuver? Is the bitter end. Butch was able to hit the bitter end on Prince, but Wilson hit a blind tag. After Butch hit the bitter end, Wilson quickly rolled him up in a crucifix for a pin at 3 minutes, 28 seconds. This is a decent match. This is more about telling the story of the Brawling Brutes falling out than anything. It keeps Pretty Deadly on a winning streak, but it definitely made Butch in the end of this match look really good. I mean, he was fending off two guys. The way that you love Butch doing it, Butch reminds me Butch Pete Dunne, I mean, he's almost like the honey badger of wrestling, just like he don't give no, if you know what I mean. If you know about honey badgers, if you don't know how about honey badgers, go into YouTube search, hit honey badger, and you'll get all the videos you want to learn about the honey badgers. Honey badgers are a bad creature, and don't ever mess with a honey badger in real life. But Pete Dunne is kind of the honey badger of professional wrestling, and if you know about honey badgers, I don't know how you cannot agree with that statement. Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on Pretty Deadly versus the Brawling Brutes?
If this leads us to getting back the Pete Dunne name, because he's doing fantastic work in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
But if we get Pete Dunne back, I am all for this. They're still trying to build Pretty Deadly, and they've had multiple wins now over the Brawling Brutes. If they're going to have them go their own way, it's fine. Whatever. Give me Pete Dunne. Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Yeah. The Brawling Brutes, breaking up the Brawling Brutes is okay. Like I said, we need tag teams, but the Brawling Brutes have been around for a long time. Sheamus kind of out of the picture now. We don't know what he's going to do. But spitting up the Brawling Brutes, probably going to get a feud between Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland here, and hopefully we get Pete Dunne and get away from Butch at this point because he's going to have to talk more. But yeah, I'm kind of excited, and this is a team that I say it's okay to break them up. They were never really considered a tag team that was going to do much, but they've done a lot and done a good time, and it's probably about the time to break them up. And the back, we get a moment between Shotzi and Charlotte, and Shotzi is talking to Charlotte about how she appreciates the supportiveness of Charlotte after Shotzi had her head shaved and had to cut her hair, about how Charlotte was there for her. And Charlotte says that she's pretty, and Charlotte starts to get upset and says, "Don't make me cry." Shotzi tells Charlotte that you can't forget the past, but maybe a few words to Becky would make a world of difference. So we get this little bit of a storyline that maybe Charlotte should go talk to Becky to make a peace, to say something, an apology, something that's going to help us move forward so that her and Becky can get along in War Games tomorrow. Anyways, I guess this is where I took a bathroom break. Kayla was talking to Nick Aldis. He says Carlito is hurt and won't be in any condition to wrestle Escobar tomorrow. Dragon Lee shows up and will be taking Carlito's place. Aldis says Lee is in and shakes his hand. So we now know officially that Dragon Lee will be taking on Santos Escobar. Carlito's injured, quote unquote. Is this a real injury and he couldn't get cleared to wrestle? Is there something wrong with Carlito? I hope not. I hope this is all in kayfabe. And maybe this will be where Carlito comes down the ringside and turns on Dragon Lee and LWO and aligns himself with Escobar. Maybe this is a whole storyline that we haven't known about. The seeds are being planted there that something interesting is going to be happening. They're adding a little spice to this match, which is nice. Just seeing Carlito versus Escobar was not really an exciting match, and it could be this. WWE could have looked at it and got fan feedback that Carlito and Escobar, the feuds with Rey Mysterio and Escobar, Carlito, yes, aligning himself, and Carlito kind of initiating. You understand why the storyline's there, but I don't think many people are really dying to see Carlito and Escobar tie it up, at least on a pay-per-view. I mean, if it was on a SmackDown, you'd probably go, okay, cool. But on a pay-per-view of this, of Survivor Series, to me, it was just not the right place.
I can definitely understand that argument.
So, anyway, Judgment Day talks in the back. It's a lot of pointless hot air, it says. And then we are, from there, of course, they're talking about, we're going to do Orton and Jey Uso, stirring the pot, as always. And then we find Becky and Charlotte. They're awkward while next to each other, and then ask each other, is good? Apparently they are. And here comes Damage Control to the ring. Charlotte Flair is faint. Oh, and then Becky Lynch comes out. Charlotte is faint by Bianca and Shotzi. And we get the main event of the night. Asuka and Bayley with Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane, Io Sky, taking on Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair with Bianca Belair and Shotzi. This was a match. It was okay. I don't think it helped anything going forward. It didn't really make me get any more invested in this match. In the end, Charlotte hit the manhandle slam on Bayley, and then Asuka was trying to get in the ring, and Charlotte hit Asuka with a spear, but happened to collapse on top of Becky, who was pinning Bayley. And this allowed Eventually, Bayley shoves Becky into Charlotte and then rolls her up for the 1-2-3. Post-match, we get Charlotte and Becky again kind of bickering with one another over this. Becky was kind of upset when Charlotte hit the spear, so she was already yelling at Charlotte when Bayley shoved Becky into Charlotte and caused this whole meltdown. Becky kind of walks out on her own, so we know this is here. I'm assuming that we're probably going to get some moment tomorrow night between this storyline. So we're going to get a moment between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair where they're going to have their come to Jesus moment. Shotzi putting it out there. You need to say something, and since it didn't happen tonight, I'm assuming tomorrow at some point during the show, these two are going to come together, whether it's the whole team, but they're going to say something where they're finally going to make the peace. We have to see Becky and Charlotte unified if we're going to buy that they're going to be able to go in and beat Damage Control. So somewhere tomorrow, I'm assuming these two are going to have their come to Jesus moment, make peace, put the past behind them, even if it's for one night, and move forward. I do think the baby faces win this. I really believe Bayley will take the pin in this match because I think the story is more about Damage Control and what's going on with Damage Control going forward. Bianca Belair, Charlotte, Becky, Shotzi are just catalysts. Like, they're just people that are there because they really didn't know anybody else. It was just kind of like they found a group, they put them together and said, okay, you're going into War Games. Charlotte just tried and true. Becky's tried and true. Bianca Belair, one of the most over babyface females right now, whether you really like her or not. I don't. And Shotzi's just kind of the outsider new blood that they're trying to help get, trying to give her that rub by putting her around these people. So that them four, not really, there's nothing there. The story is all about Damage Control. And this is why I say I think Bayley's going to lose, because you just know that Bayley's on the verge of getting kicked out of her own group. I don't know if it'll be Damage Control going forward, but the storyline seems to be more about Damage Control and Bayley's place within Damage Control going forward than anything about Charlotte or Becky or Bianca or Shotzi. Yes, they're going to get their moment to say, oh, they took out Damage Control. Yes, they're going to be able to say they're the ones that splinter Damage Control. But even getting Bayley out of Damage Control, you have a whole new version. And with Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky together, you have a much more scary Damage Control, if that's what their name's going to be. I hope that if it is Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky together, even if Dakota Kai is the acting mouthpiece for these three women, I definitely hope they go under a name change that's more prevalent to who they are than Damage Control. Because Damage Control doesn't fit them three. There's better names that you could think of for Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky than just holding on to the Damage Control moniker.
I suppose you can go back to the Kabuki Warriors.
Well, there's been a lot of reference that they want to bring something like that into WWE. It looks like they're building that. They want some name. I think they had something with Lotus that they were working on as a trademark. So I'm just hoping, because Damage Control feels like a Bayley thing. When Bayley leaves, I don't look at Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane and go, that's Damage Control. Like, it doesn't fit. I would want to see them have something a little more serious as a moniker.
Well, I mean, I think like any title or any brand, if you will, it depends on the equity you put in. Because you could call them Harry's Toothless Monsters.
Yes.
And if you have the equity behind it, it'll mean something.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what the actual brand is. But I can also see your point about, going with something that fits, them more.
Yeah.
Once Bayley's out of the picture.
Mm-hmm. And I don't mind Dakota Kai staying with them as a mouthpiece, but I'm just like, Damage Control felt like a Bayley thing. So if she's out, then I would definitely want to see them kind of repackage, rebrand into something that represents the three of them mostly. We know Dakota Kai will probably be used as a mouthpiece until she's fully able to get in the ring. Will Dakota Kai stay with this group at that point? I don't know. I think these three women on their own is great. The only thing is they definitely will need some type of mouthpiece to kind of help them get along. Yes, we know Asuka can cut some promos. We know Io Sky can cut a little bit of promo. I believe Kairi Sane can cut a promo in English if need be. But, it's going to help them to have some type of mouthpiece. It's a damn shame we don't have a Sonny Ono in the modern era to be the manager of this group.
Oh man, that brings back some memories, y'all.
I mean, I see it's Sonny
He's
Ono.
still out there.
I know he'd be a great mouthpiece for these people, for this group. But if Dakota Kai can do that for now, that's great. But at some point,
Yeah,
Dakota Kai doesn't necessarily fit in this group. You buy it because she's a mouthpiece and she's injured, but when she's wrestling and up, I don't know if she fits that group as well. And it's more of a style that they bring in the ring between Kairi Sane, Io Sky, and Asuka. They have a certain repertoire in the ring.
yeah, easily meshed style.
Yeah. Anyways, what were your thoughts on this tag team match between Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Bayley and Asuka?
We knew it was just a vehicle to get to tomorrow, so I wasn't really looking at it so hardcore. I
Yeah.
was like, I enjoy watching Bayley because that's my baby. I enjoy watching Becky Lynch because that's another one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I was just enjoying it, kind of like watching a Sky Blue match.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just watching it to watch it, not because I'm paying particular attention, because we know it's more about tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm more interested in see Kairi Sane in the ring, anyways. Anywho, it was an average SmackDown. I don't think they did anything huge for a go home show. I don't think there was anything major that really upped the ante for tomorrow. I just think they did what they needed to do to get you prepared for tomorrow. They continue the very basic storylines, but otherwise, it was just a very average show. Just is a little disappointing in that. I want to see Triple H put effort into these go home shows to make you really want to get excited to watch these shows back in the day. Of course, doing what they did tonight is way better than anything AEW did going into Full Gear. So,
You just brought up the point I was going to come up with.
I mean, and to beat Full Gear, I don't think you really have to do that much for Survivor Series to outshine what we got on Full Gear. Now, I know some people call Full Gear the best AEW pay-per-view of the year. It had the 5-star classic match that'll live on in infamy between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page. I know people say that. I don't think it's that way. I think I don't know how you bring Hangman back to feel of any importance, and then the fact your follow through after Full Gear, you did nothing to acknowledge any of these characters of what they did or accomplished on Full Gear on Dynamite to make it feel any important. I don't know how you didn't. Swerve didn't even feel. We got Swerve on Full Gear as this devious, just mechanical, cool heel that just went ballistic. But then when he faced Jay Lethal, it felt like he was struggling to beat Jay Lethal, and you're like, okay, you can sort of buy that he's hurt, but the commentary sold it. Oh, he was really beat up in this match, but there was nothing for Swerve that sold it at all. So it was like he didn't feel like we got Swerve this night, and that should have changed his character drastically when he went up against Jay Lethal and had struggled beating Jay Lethal. You're kind of like, okay, so was Full Gear just something that happened, and now we're just going to say delete? Did Matt Hardy step out and go delete, delete, delete? So I don't know. So I mean I think you could almost just have you could have one War Games match tomorrow night. You could have one match in Survivor Series and it probably beat Full Gear hands down.
It's definitely got the possibility, a strong possibility.
I agree with you, Mr. Z. Nothing big to go home on. I really feel that Triple H is trying to just burn out the rest of the year and start fresh. I think we're just trying to get to WrestleMania. I think the main storylines are there. I think Triple H is trying to sit there. And I'm really hoping once we get through WrestleMania that Triple H can finally hit that hard reset and we can see a full year of what Triple H can do without any Vince McMahon interference. Because we started it and then Vince came back and then interfered with it. And then we just slowly, it's kind of at the same point it started the first time. Triple H finally started getting control back. So we haven't really seen a full year of Triple H's stories. I think he's starting to piece things together, but I'm assuming and I'm really hoping that he's just trying to get us through the rest of this year. Then all the build that needs to go into WrestleMania that's kind of already laid there, already had the foundation. And then after WrestleMania, I'm hoping we get that hard, true reset where we can finally say under everything that we are truly 100% in the Triple H era of WWE, and we see these things get a little better, a little more important. Who said the Full Gear was the best pay-per-view? Oh, wow, there's a lot of commentators out there from What Culture Wrestling and Wrestle Talk and JD from NY206. The only people that seem to agree with us is one James E. Cornette.
Oh, shit.
That this was a horrible catastrophe. But there's a lot of people who thought this was the best pay-per-view of AEW this year. Was one of the best, if not the best. That has Hangman and Sword match was a 5-star classic. That Dave Meltzer better be giving that 5 stars. I'm just telling you, if you go watch anybody else in the IWC out here, you're going to hear about it. And people are talking this up, and there's people out there saying this is a 5-star match. I guess you have to like this match. I guess for people who got into this, I get where you could be on your edge of the seat seeing these guys just, but when you're like, too much of it was fake because they weren't really getting, the marks weren't there if you're really paying attention. The overbooking of the drinking of blood where you're just like, was that necessary? Was that really anything that helped move anything?
Especially in the post-COVID era.
And then the fact that the matter that Hangman lost this match in the way it was, and the only thing I have is they hung Hangman. I mean, they didn't dangle him hanging, but they were hanging Hangman. And I'm telling you, if Hangman would have been hanging Swerve, this match would have had a whole different opinion. If the ending image of that match would have been a white Swerve hanging or a white Hangman hanging a black Swerve, the cancel culture would have came out of the woodworks for that. And so it's kind of like,
that's a fair assessment.
It would have been it wouldn't have mattered about anything else that happened in the match. It would have been the division of a white man hanging a black man by a chain. It would have triggered a whole group. And so it's kind of like, I don't think, if you can't do it one way, then don't do it the other way, because it doesn't, you know. But
do you mean you want something called merit?
I'm just saying, if you
Which
can't,
is such blasphemy.
If you can't do it one way because it would trigger a whole group, then why do it at all? Period. Just, you know. And of course, after the blood thing, I was out of the match anyways, because I'm just like, that's. And then he lost.
I was too shocked by that.
Well, I don't. I guess I was like, what? I guess there was shock, but then I was just kind of disgusted because I'm like, what purpose does that serve? Like, how does that?
It's to get it right out of people. You know that.
No, I know. And that's what the whole match was. It was just move after move to get a bigger pop, to get people going, ooh, ah. And I'm just like, this isn't really wrestling. And then the fact that Swerve won made Hangman look like a boot. He's lost twice now to Swerve. His family being violated did not give him the extra gump to get into it and fight this guy off. So, unfortunately, it is what it is. And this was SmackDown. This was a SmackDown review. It was good, and of course, you know, it was your average show, but it was way better than what we've had earlier this week. Dynamite was just now tomorrow night, Survivor Series is going to be live on Peacock, and of course, we will be here. Myself, Mr. Clarke, and of course, Mr. Z will be joining us for a full review of a Survivor Series. We're going to break down everything that happened on Survivor Series, all the matches. We're going to discuss it. Is Randy Orton going to turn on Cody Rhodes by the end of this show? It is up there. I'm really not in the mood to see Randy be another catalyst to build Cody to the next level. I can understand it. I can definitely understand why they may go ahead and have Randy and Cody feud to fill in the gap. But I guess, again, there's not that much of a gap. Like, I don't know if you can give Randy and Cody the time they need in the short gap of getting to the Royal Rumble, because Cody's going to be... No. We have to assume 100% that Cody's going to be in the Royal Rumble. Now, if he wins or not, it's a whole different story. Now, I told you how I'd book it. I would have him and Gunther at 1 and 2. I would have them run the whole gauntlet, because those are the two guys that I think everybody wants to see. Well, LA Knight's another name in there, but LA Knight's not winning the Rumble, folks. LA Knight is not the guy. He's not even the secondary guy, I would say, at this point. We know Cody is going to face Roman at WrestleMania. Who's going to face Seth? I don't know. I have to really assume that they're pushing Gunther into that next position. So I would really have Cody and Gunther start the Rumble and last throughout the whole Rumble. You can have LA Knight come in midway. He could be one of the last 4 that's in there to definitely give him, that close call. Of course, the best thing would to have LA Knight and be in there maybe the last 6 or 7 with Logan Paul, and Logan Paul eliminate LA Knight to catalyst that feud. I think LA Knight and Logan Paul is where you need to go for WrestleMania for that U.S. title. And then, of course, you could also get the U.S. title from Logan Paul. Logan Paul back on Mysterio, and then have Mysterio and Escobar at WrestleMania for the U.S. title. So there's a couple ways you can go there. But I would definitely have Gunther and Rhodes start the match, and then at the end of the match, you have Gunther and Rhodes there. They lasted out everybody. I'd give them another 10 minutes in the ring just to have those moments of who's going to win. I mean, you could go 10, you could go an extra 20 minutes after the last guy is thrown out between Cody and Gunther. And you're going to have people on your edge of your seat because there's going to be a lot of people who want to see Gunther win it. A lot of people are going to expect Cody to win it. I think you have Gunther win it. Cody goes in the Elimination Chamber in Perth to win that spot. And you got magic there. So,
Do you believe in magic?
But yeah, no, there's a lot of speculation that Cody and Randy Orton's going to turn on Cody by the end of this. And I'm just like, I don't know if you have enough time to give Cody and Randy a good feud for one. And I don't know if I really want to see Cody beat Randy right now, because that's all it would be. It would be feeding Randy to Cody, because Cody cannot lose at all right now until after he wins the title at WrestleMania. It's just the way it is. Now, after WrestleMania, you could have Cody and Randy have a great feud for the summer. I mean, you could build into SummerSlam with these two feuding. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, after Survivor Series tomorrow night, we will be here on the Value Wrestling with your Survivor Series review show, like I said. Now, Collision and Rampage are going head up with Survivor Series. Rampage the first hour, and then the 2 hours of Collision, so 3 hours of AEW wrestling program. You know that is so excellent. Some of the best wrestling on TV today. Yes, and if you believe that, I got oceanfront property in Arizona, and I'll throw the Golden Gate in for free. Believe that. Keep the fans on their feet the whole damn match. Yes. So, most likely there will be no coverage of Collision or Rampage. If something happens on these shows, we know that you got the super swinging Swiss Superman and the dancing Daniel Garcia taking on one another. And we know Brody King and Eddie Kingston are going to have a good match. These will be good in-ring matches. And then we also know Shibata is defending the Pure Championship against Wheeler Yuta on Rampage. So there's probably some matches there that we might briefly talk about when we come live on Sunday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for your weekly roundup. But there will be no full Collision review this week because Survivor Series is going to be here, and that is going to be the Friday. Yeah. So if you're not happy that we won't be here covering Collision, I do apologize, but life happens. Join us on Sunday if you want to hear any thoughts we may have on Collision. I can't promise you we will even talk about Collision. It depends if the Collision Rampage does anything of significance that we feel. Of course, they could also do just the crappiest show that you've ever seen, and we might talk about how crappy and how horribly bad it was. So there's a good chance that something might get talked about. I just don't know which side of the coin that'll play in. But we know Survivor Series tomorrow night. Survivor Series should be a great show. It's got, I think, 5 or 6 matches on the card altogether. May have some extra matches added as of the show. I would still think you probably want Kevin Owens and LA Knight on the show in some form or another, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is tomorrow night. And that is it. Mr. Clarke, you have any closing statements about SmackDown tonight? Anything going forward? Anything about Survivor Series? Anything you'd like to address our audience with?
Man, I can't wait till tomorrow. Just seeing War Games become more of a tradition in WWE lore is a great thing. I'm excited. Even though this was an average SmackDown, as we were saying, average is better than other places sometimes. WWE is doing what they need to do to at least get us to the next chapter. And that next chapter is tomorrow night, Survivor Series, War Games. Let's effing go!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be Survivor Series. It's going to be War Games. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're going to be here tomorrow night when we go live. So what you need to do is go ahead and hit that bell for notifications to make sure you're notified whenever we go live or any new video content comes up on the channel. If you're new here and you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. We are marching forward. We are at 136. We have grown today. We thank you for joining today. If you already have, if you haven't, go ahead and hit that button. Help us grow. Help us move forward. We're making that march to 1,000. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there very quickly and very soon. And we're going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to the internet wrestling community, when it comes to the wrestling podcast community. We are the future, and we are going to shine bright, and you can believe that. So hit that bell for notification, hit the subscribe button, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get those likes up there. All right, now I see we have about 2 likes. There's more people watching than likes, so go ahead and hit that like button. It helps us get us out there in the algorithm, helps circulate this video around, and make sure that people are seeing it. The more eyes on it, the better it will always get. But like I always say when we come up to wrap up a show, until the next episode. My machine's running a little slow, and then we bounce by. We got to jump over here. I say, you know it.